Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. You already heard the intro. I'm so excited about this episode because I've never had like a dope, talented gospel singer who like absolutely crushed it. You heard of the name, the one and only Kymberli Joye is on the show today. What's going on, fam?
Hey, Shawn, how are you?
Listen, I'm excited that we actually made this thing happen. And for those of you that don't know, I kind of hinted towards it in the intro. Like, yeah, we family. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is family. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to make this one happen. But for those of you out there right now who are like, I don't know, you don't watch TV, maybe never heard of the show called The Voice. But we got the one and only Kymberli Joye on the show today. But take us back, though, to like that younger girl growing up in Connecticut. Like, take us a little bit back. Like, how was it like for you growing up?
Man, so I grew up in a really small town in a really small state, Connecticut. A lot of people ain't been there before. Every time I tell somebody I'm from Connecticut, they're like, there's black people there? I'm like, yes. We're out there. But yeah, small town girl from Connecticut. I'm the daughter of two pastors. My parents are pastors. And so I grew up around a lot of family, a lot of church. Like I said, when I said small town, I mean it. Like there's a couple farms down the street from where I live. And it was like big news when we got a Target. Like it was huge news when we got a Target. So like small suburban town. But I grew up going to church a lot with my parents. I'm growing up in that Christian environment. And then grew up in a incredibly, hugely musical family. So my mom and dad sing, and my mom played piano for the church, and my dad was the choir director, and then all my siblings sing and like do music. My brother plays. My brother is an orchestra conductor. So we grew up just listening to music and singing together, and that's always just really been a huge part of my life.
Oh, man, it's so dope. You know, it's so funny. You said, you grew up when Target was a big deal. Listen, I left Target a year ago, became a full-time entrepreneur. Listen, and I know when one of those things are in any like 10-mile radius of a city, it's a big deal. But let's talk about it, right? You came from this musical family, right? This musical family, obviously, I think people are wondering, all right, it's almost like what talent were you going to be given, right? Like what talent were you going to be given? So when you started singing, right, at this young age, like when was like the first moment you noticed like, oh snap, I got a voice?
Yeah. So my mom says I started singing before I could talk. Like she said, like she would, hold me like when I was a baby and sing something to me and I would sing it back. But the moment I realized that, oh, maybe this is like actually something I can do, I was about 12 years old. I had always been a super shy kid. So like people knew I could sing. I would sing in the choir, but whenever they tried to get me to do a little solo, I'd be like, no, I don't want to do it. I just want to be in the back. And so one choir anniversary, my mom was like, all right, Kim, you're going to sing. You can't get out of it. And so we were singing this song, and she was like, it's super easy. You only have to do a short little part, like 2 little lines. And when I opened my mouth to sing, I was completely nervous. Standing in front of the church packed because it was choir anniversary. Because it used to be a huge thing back in the day,
Facts.
And so, I grabbed the mic and sang my little part, and the whole church just jumped on their feet and like was praising God and was like, "You better sing, girl." And I was like, "Okay, maybe this is something I should look into." Yeah. So
that's powerful.
It was crazy.
That's powerful. So many times in life, right? Like we have so many, entrepreneurs that listen to this show and people who are just trying to further in their career, in their field. There's often these small things that happen at a young age when we're like, yo, I think there might be something there in pursuing it. How important would you say right now for our audience listening for when they, get that idea, when they get that spark, when they get that aha moment to actually go after it?
Oh my goodness, it's so important. I really believe that those moments aren't just happenstance. Like those moments, that aha moment, the moment where you're like, oh my gosh, maybe there is something to it. I feel like that's a God moment, right? I feel like that's a moment where God is like, this is something that I've given you. This is something that's special and unique to you, that you should definitely pursue, that you should definitely look into. because it's so important. It's so important not to dismiss those moments. There are so many people who don't have those moments or don't have that opportunity. But if you have the opportunity to follow your dreams or to follow your passion, take it every time. Every time.
Facts. You got to take it every time. As you're, this young girl, you recognize this voice. It's like almost like a timeline now, right? So many times I've been in churches, I've heard people sing. I'm pretty sure you've been to a lot of places and we've all heard people sing, but even though they sing, they kind of stop right there though. They never kind of like look for like what's next. What was it for you to make you say, you know what, I've sang so well in this building, but I think the world needs to hear my voice.
Well, for me, I kind of felt like I can't do anything else. In school, I did pretty well in school. I was a pretty good student. I wasn't valedictorian or anything like that. But yeah, I was okay. But I felt like I was one of those people whose parents really pushed them to pursue their dreams. And I felt like I can only do one of two things. Either I'm going to be like a business person or I'm going to do music. And I have ADHD, so business is kind of difficult for me to focus on. So I was like, let me pursue music. I remember I was applying to colleges and my parents were giving me all these ideas, but I was really, really set on Berklee College of Music. I really wanted to go there. It seemed super cool. And so it was the only place I applied to, and I applied early decision. And it was about January, and my parents were like, time is winding up, like you need a backup school or something. And I was like, well, if I don't get a backup school, I'll go to like community college and then like look into something else. And they were like freaking out. And I remember the date, January 31st, 2009 is when I got an email that I had gotten into Berklee College of Music. And it was crazy because I had happened to be on the Berklee campus on that day at that time, with my school's jazz band performing at a competition, and we had just won. So it was just like so many things lining up. And I don't think anything is coincidence. I think my steps are ordered and God is orchestrating things on my path to me to get to where he wants it to be and he wants me to be. And so I decided I'm going to take this opportunity. And as I studied there and learned more about myself and more about my gift, I decided this is something I have to do for my career. The more I looked into it, the more I learned about it, the more it spoke to me. It was like, this is it.
Oh, but I like this because, guys, right now what you're doing is giving the audience a masterclass and understanding what your talent is, being able to get that tap on the shoulder, but also follow through with that. You talk about your parents a lot, and I had the opportunity to meet them, and they're amazing. You can feel their presence when they're around you. But I got to ask you this, like, what is like the biggest lesson you think your parents ever taught you?
The biggest lesson that I believe my parents have taught me is to not be afraid to try new things, or not just new things, but things outside the ordinary, or to do the unexpected. Like being a church girl, we did a lot of gospel music and stuff like that. But my parents also exposed us to classical and to jazz and to funk and R&B. And so they wanted us to be eclectic so that we wouldn't limit ourselves and put ourselves in a box. It's always been a thing. It's like, whatever you do, be great at it. My parents said, I don't care if you're a basket weaver. You're going to be the best basket weaver that ever wove a basket. It's like, whatever you do it with excellence. Excellence has always been the foundation of our teaching from our parents. It's like, be excellent, do everything you can to the best of your ability, and that's what's going to bring you success.
Facts. I like that, because and there's so many things that we can get, like we can learn, that we can take away from our parents. But the fact that you took that, but also it's almost like they curated, right? The environment to like say, we're going to introduce, this type of sound to them. And we're going to kind of see, what really pulls their interest. So how did you first, right? When you think about college and you think about, learning what you learn in college, how did you very first hear about the opportunity of something even like The Voice?
Man, that was something that kind of fell into my lap. So The Voice, has been on TV for years, over a decade. And so, I used to watch it, on TV from time to time with my family. And I had friends that had done The Voice. I had a cousin that was on The Voice. She got pretty far. So we were voting for her and rooting for her. But it never was really anything on my radar because, again, I've always been really shy and very introverted. And although I'm competitive in some things, I don't really love competitions in that way, especially because I feel like, my voice is a gift from God. And so, like, what do I look like competing, trying to say, oh, I'm the best singer in the world or whatever, So, I remember this one day I was traveling. I sang background for a number of years and still do with my brother, JJ Harrison. And I was traveling with him coming back from Jamaica. We had done this gig in Jamaica the day after Easter. And I was coming back and I was going from Jamaica to Syracuse, New York. And when I landed back in the States, my manager had been like blowing up my phone. And I was like, what does he need? Like, what's going on? Is everything okay? So I called him. He's like, Kim. I'm like, what? Check the email. And I look in the email and it's an email from Voice Casting. And they're like, hey, we've done our countrywide auditions, but we still need people to fill this season. We haven't really found the right fit. And somebody gave us your information. And so we looked you up on Instagram and we want to invite you to audition for The Voice.
Oh,
that's how it happened.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Talk about being pulled, right? Being pulled to a direction, being pulled towards an opportunity. Here you are doing your thing, but you got this gift that is undeniable. And it's so undeniable. They're like, you know what? Listen, I know you ain't pressed the button and put your word out there, but we need you, right? We need you. So you take on The Voice, right? You jump into it. Like you say, you know what? I'm going to do this thing. Like one thing I noticed about you from, all of the many songs you sang on that show is that you had this level of confidence, right? And I think it's important to talk about how did you develop confidence? Because I know our audience right now can find some huge takeaways from that.
Yeah. All confidence is really knowing who you are. That's it. Being able to stand firm and saying, this is who I am and this is what I have to say. This is my contribution to the world. And so the first way I learned confidence, again, being a very shy and introverted person, was through faith, right? So if I know who God says I am, then that gives me a sense of identity. And so for a long time, I built my confidence around hiding myself behind who God said I was. I remember even on The Voice when I was doing my blind audition, they gave us a vocal coach and she happened to be a Christian. And she was like, I see you're so nervous. She said, so I want you to pray this simple prayer. Like, thank you, God, that they can see thee through me. And I would repeat that before I went on stage every single time. And so I found my identity in my faith and who God said I am. And then through that, I grew to learn the intricate and unique things that he placed inside me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can be confident in who I am and what I'm doing because there's nobody else on this planet like me. They might be singing as well. They might even sing gospel music. They might come from the same small town, okay, and have parents that are pastors. But God has made me unique, and I have these unique qualities and qualifications and life experiences that make me who I am. And so why not be confident in that? Because I can't be duplicated. So there's a reason I'm here, and I'm going to stand in that firmly.
Oh man, you better say it. Listen, I feel like we just got like a whole bars on affirmations that we can be saying to ourselves, right? That we are unique, like you can't be duplicated, and you can feel that presence, when you're on that stage, So let's talk about this, right? As someone who watched the show for so long, then now being a part of the show, what was it like for you having somebody like Kelly Clarkson and Jennifer Hudson and all them press the button and turn around, right? It's the difference between watching it on TV and you actually being the person singing it and seeing it. What was that experience like?
Man, it was crazy. I had, from that point, I had some experience with celebrities, but to look at people who you've looked up to for so long and them press their button saying, I want you on my team. It was completely crazy. And when you're watching from home, it looks like a big moment for everybody there. And there's a whole bunch of crowd sounds and everything. But I found out that all of that is post-production.
Oh.
So actually it's just you on stage, you and the band, and then 4 chairs. You can't even hear the chairs turn around. So if I hadn't opened my eyes to see that Kelly Clarkson turned first, if I hadn't opened my eyes to see that she had turned, I would have never known that anybody had turned for me, because there's no like big sound like the douche that it comes like on TV. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. So you just hear a little click. It's like a little and then like they turned around. But it was still an amazing moment, because it's like, oh my gosh, somebody I've looked up to for so long, and their music that I listened to, it got me through high school, They're saying, I want you a part of my team. I think you have something to offer. And it's a crazy experience as well. A lot of late nights. Like I would have studio sessions at like 5 a.m. or like 2 a.m., like a whole bunch of different stuff, rehearsals every day, being in front of a camera. It's a reality show. So like cameras following you around all the time. But it was an experience I wouldn't trade.
Oh man, it's crazy when you say like that, right? So y'all heard it, like you heard that, those big old sound effects. You're like, oh, they going crazy. You just, that's got to be a different experience right there. Like, that got to be a little different.
Yeah, it's completely different. I wasn't expecting that at all.
But let's talk about this as well, though, right? Like here you are coming from 2 pastors on a well syndicated show, going across so many different channels, being played in so many different countries. You make it to the top 8 as a gospel singer, right? Like what does that feel like, right? To be in that category and making it that far.
Yeah, that was incredible, making it to the top 8, the semifinals. I got voted off the last week before the finals. And it was amazing because I wasn't sure I was going to make it that far. Even while I was on the show, they kept trying to tell me, hey, can you wait to do gospel? Like, we know you're a gospel singer, but people don't really connect with gospel music. So like, maybe you can do this R&B song. So like, it's, if you like go back and watch the show, you can see like I started out with a bunch of secular songs. Like my audition was Whitney Houston. And then we did a Shawn Mendes song. After that, I did The Middle by Zedd and Maren Morris. And then Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. So nothing was gospel. And the reason I was able to do a gospel song was because they had like a fan favorites week where the fans could choose your song. And a bunch of fans had asked me to do Break Every Chain. And so when I was able to do that, they were like, oh, you can do whatever you want. The song ended up going because it did really well. And the song, the recorded song on iTunes, ended up going #1 on the Billboard Charts. Whew. And so they said, you could do whatever you want after that. You could sing. If you want to sing gospel, sing gospel. And I was happy that I was able to step onto, that stage as who I fully am completely. But whatever I was singing, I was bringing them to church anyway, because that's just in me.
How naturally you were doing that. But you know what's crazy when you break that story down like that, it goes to show, like, if you have like this insane amount, unique ability in yourself, regardless of what others try to push onto you, when you're able to do that, you're going to shine. And I think that is the bar I got from that, which I think is so impactful. What would you say now, right? As somebody who obviously has been in the spotlight, obviously has had the critics, obviously has had the praise. What would you say right now to that young girl who is maybe, listening or watching this, that is at their church singing every Sunday as loud as they can? Like, what would be your advice for her to keep going?
My advice would be, first of all, don't be afraid to shine. Sometimes the potential of our light can be overwhelming, especially if you come from like a small, closed community. But don't be afraid to shine. Don't be afraid to stick out. Don't be afraid to be different. And don't be afraid to go for the dream that seems impossible. You're at a small space right now, and I feel like I'm talking to my younger self. You're in a small community, you're at a small space. Not too many people know your name. But if this is really what you feel like you're called to do, what you're gifted to do, what you've been put on this earth to do it. And do it afraid. Do it with the naysayers. You don't need anybody to back you up. I mean, it's nice to have a community, but do it even if you have to do it by yourself. Because at the end of it, it'll all be worth it to be able to look back and say, I don't have any regrets. I don't have any regrets, and I made it to my destination.
Oh, that's real. I love that. And I gotta ask you now, right? Just knowing that, right? Knowing that you have no regrets, knowing that you just spoke to your younger self. I think about our audience, and I think about the people that are either getting ready to graduate college, or perhaps they didn't graduate at all. And they're asking themselves constantly the question of our podcast: school's over, now what? What advice would Kymberli give?
Well, I could give you advice from my own life. I did graduate college, but I graduated with a music degree. And so when I got out of college, I became a substitute teacher. That was not my plan. It was, something to do. So my advice would be to not get discouraged if you have to take a few detours. What now is what's at your disposal, what's in your hands. What can you do? If you didn't graduate with a degree, like I used my degree to get a part-time job to pay my bills until I could start singing full time. What's in your hands to do? What do you have? What are you talented with? Like, okay, maybe you want to, maybe you're a good speaker. Maybe you should start a podcast. Do you have a phone? Do you have internet connection? Do you have, something to say? Set it up. Like, what is in your hand to do? And that will give you the key to what's next. That's it. It's all in your hands.
Oh, that's real. Listen, it's all in your hands. You got everything you need. It's to the left, it's to the right of you. You just got to use it. You heard it from Kymberli herself, who came on the podcast and absolutely crushed it. Right now, people want to know about you. They want to know, hey, where can I find the music? Where can I find the next single? Where can I check her out at? Just give them all your social media platforms and how we can stay in touch.
Yeah, please keep in touch with me. You can follow me at Kymberli Joye. That's KymberliJoye at Kymberli Joye on all social media platforms. And it's Kymberli Joye on iTunes and Amazon. Wherever you get music, I'm there, even on YouTube. You can check me out. Check out Come On This Journey. I got some new music coming out soon, so I'm really excited.
Listen, we excited for that. Can't wait to hear it. And for those of you that have been listening, always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it. Hey, what's up, fam? Thanks for watching. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. We'll see you next week here at School's Over Now What? And always remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.